Welcome guys, back to the channel. It's Rich here in my own Audi R8 V8. I've owned this now just under a year. Did an owner's review back about Christmas, New Year time, so 8-9 months ago. And as a result of those couple of videos, I did promise to do a video on my aftermarket Capristo exhaust. People had asked about it, so this is it. It's taken a few months in putting together and finding the time, but at last I've put it together. Talk about why, how it works, what it sounds like, or what some of the costs are. Welcome everybody to this week's Fast and Fun. So before I bought the R8, doing all the reviews, I knew I wanted the V8, I knew I wanted the manual. The only thing, and I'm a purist at heart, like OEM as they left the factory, just from that's the way they were designed, and I certainly get some sort of subtle modifications and changes, but for the V8, the weak link was definitely the sound. It had supercar looks, it had strong performance, if not necessarily lightning quick. It was on par for the day. Ferrari 360, Ferrari 430, that era of supercars, V8 mid-engine supercars were similar sort of power and similar sort of performance. But what it didn't have was the noise. And through the V8's quad tailpipes, you just didn't get that sense of occasion. So you'll find now many of the Gen 1 V8s have aftermarket exhausts, and I wanted an aftermarket, not specifically any one, and there's a whole range out there, but this one came with a very, very desirable, and it has to be said expensive, Capristo exhaust to really get the best theatre, get the best noise from this wonderful normally aspirated 4.2 V8. Other than the noise, visually, the only way you can actually tell that there's an aftermarket exhaust on the V8s is standard. They came as quad exhausts. Many of the aftermarket ones have two oval pipes reminiscent of the V10, and that's what this one looks like. So from externally, it very much looks like a V10 exhaust, but yeah, it's carrying the Capristo name, and most importantly, the Capristo noise. So how does the Capristo exhaust work? Well, it's a valved exhaust system, like many of them actually are. It has comes with a key fob, a 4-button key fob for the 3 modes of operation, and it's a valve system, works on back pressure in the exhaust to open and close depending on what the setting is. So the standard default setting is cruise, and that defaults to the valves to remain closed, which is the quiet position, and that will only open the valves at really high back pressure in the exhaust. So normally when you're on full acceleration, high up in the revs, it will momentarily open then right at the top end, just to release some of that noise. But largely it's valves closed, and it is quite subdued and quiet for sure. Number 2 is sport, the sport setting. So that again remains closed, is the default position, so in the quiet mode. But this time it will activate and open at lower exhaust back pressure. And that's to enable you to, in slow traffic, ticking along, it's quiet, but as soon as you go on the accelerator, as soon as back pressure builds, the exhaust opens and you get that really nice rasp of the V8. You've then got the third mode, normally number 4 on the button, which is to manually override the back pressure in the exhaust and leave the valves permanently open. Because mine is an evenings and weekend toy, and because when I drive it I want a sense of occasion, my default is radio off, press number 4, get the valves open all the time, because whether I'm idling or I'm on it, I want to hear the noise of that V8. I want it to be adrenaline fueled. I want the excitement, but having the flexibility that if you're leaving early in the morning, if you've got neighbours close by, if actually you're on the motorway or fast A roads and it becomes quite a drain with the valves open, the ability to flick it into number 1, into cruise, and quieten the whole noise and exhaust down just makes it so much more usable. It gives you so much more flexibility. And when the exhaust is fitted, it's always wired in, so actually the position that you've selected is actually visual on your infotainment system, which is always a nice touch. As mentioned that there's 4 buttons on the key fob, button number 3 is the one that's used for settings, and you can adjust it so you can actually see the back pressure in the exhaust rather than cruise, sport or open on the infotainment, and you can adjust the back pressure in the exhaust. I don't play with it really, because largely I get in and press number 4. Incidentally, when the car starts, it will always start doing a cold start, which is valves open, and that's for about 20 odd seconds, and that's purely for emissions. That's to get heat into the cat as quickly as possible to reduce those emissions. There are various alternative aftermarket exhausts. I know a popular one is the Top Gear F1 exhaust. They retail about 2k, I think Cobra Mate one, it's about 3k. I think there's a Quicksilver one at 3.5k or something. These are sort of bought, you've got to get them fitted, probably a day's labour to get them fitted. And this is where the Capristo exhaust is expensive, because the retail price for these come in at $7,500 US, which equates to 6,400 GB pounds. That plus fitting. So it's a serious amount of money. They will tell you it's about the style, the design, the material, the lightness, the durability, and specifically the sound. Now, I haven't got 6 R8s, unfortunately, all lined up to do a test comparison with each exhaust. All I can do is try to portray the noise that you get from this car and the flexibility you get with a valved exhaust, but in truth they're nearly all valved exhausts anyway. But what I am going to do is going to pull off down this side road, and I'm going to do a pull away and a drive by with the valves closed. Sorry about that, I just couldn't resist. We're going to do a drive off with the valves closed and a drive by with the valves closed, and then I'm going to open the exhaust and do the same with the valves open, and hopefully some of that brilliant noise will be portrayed through on the film. So there we go. I suppose my summary is the Capristo exhaust worth the money should it come to you wanting to fit an aftermarket exhaust to your V8? It's a tough call, to be truth. The cost is significant, especially when you compare it to something like the Top Gear F1 exhaust that I know many go to, and over 3 times that price. Is it really worth the money? Well, that's only something that you can answer yourself. All I can say is the noise is incredible. Anybody that comes out in this car is blown away with the theatre and the sound, the bellowy V8 low down, all the way through to the screaming, almost F1-esque, up at 8,000 RPM, and it sounds amazing. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, as always, please thumbs up, subscribe, stay tuned. Another video next week. Thanks for watching, guys.